everyone, so we're on Understanding Negatives Part 2 today. So we're looking at when there are two negatives. So what we're doing is we're subtracting a negative, okay? So we've got a positive, take away a negative number, okay? So what we're going to do is we're going to use our counters again. So remember, the yellow ones are worth positive one, and the red ones are worth negative one. Okay, so what we're going to do is the other thing that we need to remember is when a red and a yellow are together, what do they make? 0. Okay, so we need to remember that in today's video. Now, when I first saw this done, I was absolutely in love with it, because what it made me realize was that I could teach pupils to understand how to take a negative away, and then they could come up with their own rules on how to do it in a more efficient way. Okay, but they would have the understanding of why that is, and I think that's really key in maths. Okay, so I'm going to show you how to do this, and then I'm going to give you some questions to do, and we're going to see if we can come up with the theory ourselves. So I'm starting off with 3 positives. So I start off with my 3 yellows. Okay, and what I need to do is I need to take away 5 negatives. Now, I don't have 5 negatives here, so this is where my problem lies. Okay, I don't have any negatives to take away, so I need to put some negatives in here so that I can take the negatives away. Okay, so what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to put in some zeros, okay, because it's not going to affect the number, is it? Okay, so there's 1 0. Here's another 0. Here's another 0. So I've added in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 zeros. Okay, so that makes sense. So here are my zeros I've added in. Okay, I've not affected the number because remember, these are all 0. But what I have done is I've created 5 negatives here that now I can take away. So if I take these 5 negatives away now, what am I actually left with? Well, I'm left with all these yellow counters. How many have I got altogether? 8. So our answer is 8. Okay, now that can sound very bizarre that when you take a negative away you get a positive, but that does make sense, doesn't it? So if you get rid of a debt, you end up back in the positive. Okay, so let's have a look at it again. We're going to do 4 take away negative 3. So I've got 4 to start with. Okay, there we go, there's my 4, and I need to take 3 negatives away. Now I don't have 3 negatives, so if I add in some zeros to create my 3 negatives, there you go, here's my zeros. Okay, so my number hasn't changed, I've just got some zeros there. But what I can do now is I can take these 3 negatives away, and what am I left with? 7 positives. So my answer is 7. Okay, I'm going to do this with a pen for you now in colours. Okay, so you can have a go at the next ones. So I start off, so this one was 4, wasn't it? Oh, I've done the wrong colour there, haven't I? Okay, so let's try again. So I've got 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so there's my 4 positives to start with. I need to take 3 negatives away. So what I do is I'm going to add in my zeros. So here's 1 0. Here's my second 0. And here's my third 0. So that I can take these 3 negatives away. So I am left with 7. So you can either do it with the tiles, okay, if you've got some, or you could do it with your coloured pen. Okay, so here are your questions that I want you to have a go at. Okay, and then we'll come back in a moment. So press pause, have a go at the questions, and then we're going to have a little chat and we're going to see how we got to the answer. Okay, so let's do the first one together just to make sure you knew what you were doing. So number one here, we started with 2 positives, so I've got my 2 positives, and I needed to take 4 negatives away. Now I didn't have 4 negatives, so I have to create them by adding in zeros. So here's 1, 2, 3, 4. So I've added in my 4 zeros. So now I can take my 4 negatives away. So what am I left with? Well, I've got 6. Okay, so now let's have a look at the next one. I know the answer to this one is 7. So let's hope you got that one right. 5 take away -3 is 8. And the last one, 1 take away -2 is 3. So how do we get to the answer? I hope you've all managed to work out the little trick. If I've got 2, 4, and my answer is 6, I would add them, wouldn't I? So I've got an add here. Does that work here? 6 plus 1 makes 7. 5 plus 3 makes 8. And 1 plus 2 makes 3. So what our rule is here actually is when there are 2 negatives together, okay, or when you take away a negative number, you can actually just add them. Okay, I hope you understand why that is. If not, keep going with the counters until you do understand.